All right, so today I have the Chief of Staff from JellyVision, Brynn. Brynn, welcome. Thanks for being on this.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, honor to have you here. So, and the reason why I wanted you here is because Amanda had mentioned what you guys are doing at JellyVision as it relates to going back to work. And this, I'm doing a couple of videos, obviously, with some business leaders in Chicago, so they can talk about how they're handling returning to work, or if they actually are returning to work. So I appreciate your time. And if you can, first of all, just talk about you and your current role.
Yeah. So my name is Brynn Michelich. I'm the Chief of Staff at JellyVision. So I'm responsible for our office team, which also includes, facilities, office, and then a lot of our employee engagement. So work very closely with our people team and with our senior leadership team to make sure that company communication is covered, employee engagement is covered, and just in general that we are trying to be the best employer we can be and be as communicative as we can be about the company.
Nice. So to get right into it, what's JellyVision doing in terms of going back to work?
Yeah, so for us, it's not so much the question of like, how do we go back to the office? It's why do we go back to the office? So our offices are closed like a lot of companies right now and will be closed until it's safe to return. And really a few months ago, we shifted our focus from how do we reopen the office to hold on, wait, this is kind of working while people are home. So why do we want to reopen the office? Is it worth it to go through what you need to go through to have your office reopen in the stage that we're in with social distancing and all of the accommodations that we would need to make? So we've started to really analyze kind of two different buckets. One is how can we be prepared to anticipate more people working from home after our office is safe to reopen. What we have found is that our employees are as productive, sometimes maybe even more productive when they are at home. So we are assuming that when things go back to normal, there's going to be a lot of folks that choose to save their commute and work at home because now they have a home office set up. Now they know they can do their tasks when they're not in the office. So how do we create our office environment so that it can better accommodate both people on video and people in the conference room for various meetings and various different events that we have? Previously, we always have allowed folks to work from home, but it was more a do it when you need to come into the office for the majority of the things. And now we're looking at it and saying, well, but what if they don't need to? How can we make sure that they're getting that same experience even if they're not in the office? So that's one of the buckets. And then the second one is really focusing on why people want to come in and making sure that our office space better accommodates whatever those reasons are. So obviously, if you think about, what you might miss from when you're in an office, it's human interaction. It's hanging out with people. It's the water cooler talk. It's brainstorming sessions and collaboration. And so we want to make sure that we are focusing less on how do you sit in front of a computer and do your individual tasks that you might need to do, and more spending our investment and our time in what does the community space look like? What are the reasons why you would want to come in to collaborate and to have better human interactions than we've had before. So we've created a little bit of a campaign that we're calling Flexible First. And really the gist of that is we want people to work where they need to work to be most productive. And we want them to come in when that is in fact the thing that is going to be most meaningful to them. So trying to balance both of those worlds, even when we can choose either one of those worlds. Obviously right now with the office closed, we cannot, but that's what we're trying to prepare for.
So when you say the having people come in when they want to or when they need to, or the why behind it, and I'm sure there's a lot of work that still needs to be done to figure it out. Like, do you think you would do it where certain teams would come in on a certain day together, or
not necessarily. I think a lot of companies are doing that, right? Where they're saying, okay, we'll do sort of shifting where like a couple of days a week it's this team, a couple of days a week it's this team, or this team is this week, this team is next week. For us, we really want to look at that and say, maybe this entire team is here today because they're having a big brainstorming session or planning session or event or whatever, and that's fine. Maybe this team, they don't really ever need to come in much at all, and that's okay, and they choose to be working from home, and then everything in between those two gamuts. So we wouldn't structure it specifically that like certain days, certain teams need to be here. It would be more around what's the work product that we're trying to get out, and what does that team need to get there.
And then, so how did you guys, because I feel like there's most of the companies that I talk to, they're still trying to figure out how they can go back to the office. Or on the flip side, there's companies whose leases either are coming to an end or have ended that they're not re-signing. So how did you guys decide to kind of focus on like this philosophy of why the office? Like, how did you come up with that, and what's the reasoning behind it?
Yeah, I think for me specifically, and I can't speak for everybody at JellyVision, but when we closed down the office in March, it was pretty seamless for us because we have the fortune of having a business that things can be done virtually very well because a lot of it is online. And so obviously there's plenty of companies where that wasn't their reality. But what we noticed pretty immediately is that our engagement scores went up for our all company meeting, for example. And we thought that was pretty weird. I thought that was pretty weird.
And is that through Zoom that you're doing that?
Yep, yep. So we
Okay.
have everybody come on Zoom and have, presentations, state of the business, kind of just general sort of all hands meetings. And we found engagement went up in those meetings. And that was not what I was expecting. But what we learned is that when people are viewing things all the same way, and when they're feeling that engagement, like there's a lot of things about, Zoom fatigue and people not wanting to stare at screens all day. And it's all very, very real. But when you're talking to your CEO and she's this close to you because she's on a computer screen instead of, you're in the back of a big conference room, it starts to make a difference. And so we looked at that first and then said, maybe there's a reason why this is happening this way. And rather than just, waiting for us to be able to unlock the doors and get everybody back in, maybe we should use this as an opportunity to analyze how we work and figure out going forward, is there a better way that's a hybrid approach between those two?
Okay. No, that's actually really good. I think Zoom fatigue is definitely real.
Very.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole different thing, but I love Zoom, and I think it's done wonders, and I can't imagine how life would be in COVID without it. But I have not heard that yet. And you bring up a really good point about just the accessibility and the fact that like you're all right there, even for larger, I've been involved in like all like bigger company group meetings and things like that. And you're right, like you're seeing the CEO or whoever it is that's talking. So, well, great. I really appreciate your time. And, I'm going to put your info obviously on this LinkedIn post. So, because I'm sure there'd be a lot of people that have questions on this. So you might have people reaching out to you just randomly about it. And I think one of the things that I want to highlight is that you're working remote and you've been working remote and you're the chief of staff. So I think that says a lot. And obviously JV's got such a great culture, and I think it's something that a lot of companies look at and want to emulate or copy. So
Yeah, that's great. And if anybody's out there that's watching this video and you want to talk more about this, either because of the perspective that you have for your company or anything that you might want, like, please reach out. I would love to chat because we're all trying to figure this out together, right? We're all trying to figure out how to keep employees engaged and get back to our offices and everything in between. So let's chat.
awesome. Thanks, Brynn. Great having you.